and Spotify 2.5 and 5 months respectively, which is to reach 1 million users. OpenAI's new generative AI-powered chatbot, ChatGPT, reached 1 million users in no more than just 5 days after the launch, right? All right. So this is 6 days and already over 1 million users. This is, of course, today being counted as one of the few bright spots of venture funding right now, right? And of course, the generative AI space is vacant. There are some 250 plus generative AI companies, 33%, while they are yet to raise any outside equity funding. All the rest of them are doing extremely well. There are at least 6 of these companies that have reached unicorn status. Unicorn, private startups which reach a valuation of $1 billion. So yes, hot is the word for what generative AI chatter is all about. Recently, news broke out that Samsung was considering switching its default search engine to the new GPT-powered Bing. How did Google investors react? Shares dropped as much as 4%, right? So I'm sure that there is a lot that is going on. The thoughts on generative AI versus metaverse. Metaverse, as we all realize, was the flavor of the season as far as the last calendar year 2022 is concerned. Yes, many investors poured money into startups focused on VR, AR, hoping to cash in on the trend. However, in 2023, the trend has reversed. Generative AI getting a lot more funding due to a number of factors, including the slower than expected adoption of metaverse, the greater potential for generative AI, right? So yes, this is a list of the top investors in generative AI today. And a quick video from BCG on the generative AI revolution.
Generative AI will be a revolution. Today's everyone and the headlines are focusing on its technical limitations and on productivity gains, but tomorrow it will be a product and business model innovation. And this is why CEOs need to do 4 things. The first one is to generate responsible AI guidelines dedicated to generative AI. Second, it's to identify the use cases that with generative AI will become a source of competitive advantage. Third, they need to experiment and fully understand the depths of generative AI and how it will impact jobs. Based on that, they will have to redefine their operating model and their organizational blueprint. Fourth, they need to implement a new change management model that takes care of the professional identity of the employees.
Yeah, so that was BCG for you. So yes, ChatGPT, here is the catch. ChatGPT's responses only touch reality at a tangent. So while they may sound convincing, they are ultimately fictional creations of what is called the GAN, Generative Adversarial Network. This class time is too short for us to do justice to the technical aspects of what neural networks are and what is specifically generative adversarial network. And yet we will attempt to at least throw some technology overview at some point in time. Now, this might sound like a drawback, but it actually makes ChatGPT incredibly useful. Why? Because it isn't tied to the constraints of reality. So ChatGPT can engage in completely imaginary conversations and provide creative out-of-the-box responses. What you see on the screen, this is when ChatGPT is asked what it would do if it could fly. Now, this type of response would be impossible for a human to come up with, but it is perfectly within the realm of possibility of ChatGPT. So it's exactly this type of creative, imaginary thinking that we need to perhaps solve complex problems and generate new ideas. So ChatGPT allows us to explore possibilities that are beyond the constraints of our everyday reality, and that can be incredibly powerful. So we're going to be hearing out this video where the OpenAI CEO, the man of the moment, Sam Altman, says he's scared. All right.
On the other hand, there's a huge number of unknowns that could turn out very badly for society. What do you think about that?
We've got to be cautious here. And also, I think it doesn't work to do all this in a lab. You've got to get these products out into the world and make contact with reality, make our mistakes while the stakes are low. But all of that said, I think people should be happy that we're a little bit scared of this. I think people should be
You're a little bit scared.
A little bit, yeah.
You personally.
I think if I said I were not, you should either not trust me or be very unhappy I'm in this job.
So what is the worst possible outcome?
There's like a set of very bad outcomes. One thing I'm particularly worried about is that these models could be used for large-scale disinformation. I am worried that these systems, now that they're getting better at writing computer code, could be used for offensive cyber attacks. And we're trying to talk about this. I think society needs time to adapt.
And how confident are you that what you've built won't lead to those outcomes?
Well, we'll adapt it. And also, I think
you'll adapt it as negative things occur?
For sure, for sure. And so putting these systems out now, while the stakes are fairly low, learning as much as we can and feeding that into the future systems we create, that tight feedback loop that we run.
So just as there is Chat-GPT, there is something called Mid-Journey, which means Chat-GPT gives you responses on a text-to-text basis, but Mid-Journey is what can lead to a text-to-image. So they had Mid-Journey make 3 versions of each image, one with collage added to the prompt, another with Salvador Dali, and the one with Peter Bruegel the Elder. You will notice the toggle below, right? You can change the illustration style with that toggle. The code behind this was co-authored by GitHub Copilot, which is another AI tool. Similarly, they did give a selection of economist covers to an application developed by Microsoft that combined the Florence model and OpenAI's GPT-3, this time to generate text descriptions of images, so image to text. And you can see how perfect a job the model did. Yet another example. And when they fed OpenAI's GPT-3 model the opening lines of some famous novels and asked it to continue the story, this is what it came up with. All right. Now watch this animation and I'll just give the explanation. So in this animation, AI is used to transform a dancer into a crow, and the result is a haunting and compelling piece that follows the crow through its brief dance in a landscape of post-apocalyptic barrenness to its inevitable demise. This is based on the short film Painted by Duncan McDowell, and this is how an award-winning AI film was brought to life by text-to-video generation. So yes, deep learning indeed is coming to Hollywood. Yeah. Continuing on the example of opening lines of some famous novels and continuing the story. Yeah. So the same person, Glenn Marshall, had previously earned plaudits for an AI-generated Daft Punk video, but he applied a different approach to the crow. The crow uses an underlying film as an image reference, while this earlier technique is where he turned text into random visual mutations. And this is when, this is kind of perfect tribute to the electro pioneers who had announced that they are splitting, right? They were splitting up. So Marshall created this video by inputting the phrases robot headgear, robot heads, robot disco, and prompting the system to produce clips in the style of the movie Tron. And the clip culminates with one member of the Daft Punk self-destructing in the desert while the other walks off into the distance on his own. So when Marshall was asked what he thought the duo would make of his creation, he said, "I think the one remaining member would smile and then explode." Another example of continuing the narrative when opening lines are provided. So while they look like the real person, they are not. And this is where the ability of Midjourney to create the look-alike. So it is so hard these days to spot what is real, what is fake. This is the power of AI art. ChatGPT, of course, has been outperforming the humans in the exams, and here is the proof for it. So this is Satya Nadella for you in conversation at Davos 2023.
In any language in any Indian language. So a demo I saw was a rural Indian farmer trying to access some government program, right? So he just expressed a complex thought in speech in one of the local languages that got translated and interpreted by a bot, and a response came back saying, go to a portal and here is how you'll access the program. He said, look, I'm not going to go to the portal. I want you to do this for me. And it completed it. And the reason why it was able to complete it was because a developer building it had taken GPT and trained it over all of the Government of India documents and then scaffolded it with the speech recognition software. So think about what that meant, right? That basically meant that a large model, a foundational model that was developed in the West Coast of the United States a few months before, had made its way to a developer in India who then sort of added value to it to make a difference in a remote villager's life. And I've never seen that type of diffusion. To your point about the Industrial Revolution, Klaus, I would say, we're still waiting for the Industrial Revolution to reach some large parts of the world 250 years after. The internet maybe took 30 years. Maybe the cloud and mobile took 15 years. And now I think we're talking months, which to me, I think is perhaps the benefit. Doesn't mean to your core question.
So yes, the jury is still out, whether it is a threat or a boon. But one thing is clear, the market for generative AI is on a big upswing. Here is a market map of generative AI companies sorted by segment and total fundraised amount. So yes, it has the same why now as AI more broadly. Why? Because better models, more data, more computing power. So one of the first things that I wish to address for you is that there are three things that are the big drivers of AI. Any guesses what those three things are? What is it that is kind of driving this huge adoption of AI today? Anyone? Yeah, it's a question that I ask of you guys. What is it that is driving the adoption of AI such a big time? What has happened to the world? Why is all of a sudden the world has taken to AI? All right, so number one, as much data as has been created in the last 250,000 years is what has been created in the last 2 years. So one, there is lots and lots and lots and lots of humongous data. Two, there is unprecedented computing power available. And in a mobile first and a cloud first world, it is all over the place. So huge computing power available at our disposal to process this data. All right. And the third is very, very sophisticated algorithms, very, very sophisticated software. So data at the heart of the AI revolution, huge computing power, and sophisticated algorithms are the three drivers of AI. You'll be surprised that the 6 authors of a seminal research paper by Google is what helped enable OpenAI to raise that first 1.3 billion in startup funding, which has already created 2 unicorns. So this is a timeline more for the enthusiasts amongst us about history, about how generative AI has come to be. Very quickly, if we look at the applications, so just as mobile unleashed new types of applications through new capabilities like GPS, cameras, on-the-go connectivity, it is expected that these large models will also motivate a new wave of generative AI applications. What you're seeing is a schematic that describes the platform layer that will power each category and the potential types of applications that will be built on top. So this is Harvard's view on what generative AI can do today.
I gave it a prompt asking what should Harvard's strategy in online education be in a way that preserves the magic of the campus experience. And, it typed out a fine essay, but it was pretty generic. I then cut and paste the essay and gave it back to ChatGPT. And I said, if this was the answer to an essay prompt like this, how would you grade it? And it said I would give it a grade of C+ because it's not Harvard specific enough, which was absolutely fascinating because I was like, actually, this is not just for giving answers, it's for grading answers. And there's a certain degree of self-awareness, or dare I say humility here.
So yes, tens of applications. One of the largest is the most prominent use case of generative AI is creating fake images that look like real ones. So image generation definitely is one of them. Yet another, image to image translation, right? Where you could transfer style. An example of sketches to realistic. Here the user starts with a sparse sketch and the desired object category, and the network then recommends its plausible completion and shows a corresponding synthesized image. Text to image, what you saw examples of earlier on also. Example of a text to speech. Researchers have used GNs to be able to do this. Text to video, where Facebook has launched a product called Make a Video, a set of moving visual images.
Welcome everybody to GAN Theft Auto. What you see here is me playing inside of a neural network's environment. This neural network was trained by watching a bot play Grand Theft Auto 5 on this particular stretch of highway, learning how to generate new frames from previous frames and player input. So every pixel you see here is generated from a neural network while I play. While generating the visuals or just improving them is interesting too, and there has been some interesting work lately with neural networks improving the visuals with Grand Theft Auto 5 in particular.
So enhancing images from old movies, upscaling them to 4K and beyond, generating more frames per second and adding color to black and white movies. All of this is possible. And while we live in a world that is overflowing with data that is being generated in great amounts continuously, the problem of getting enough data to train ML models remains. And this is where synthetic data generation comes into play.
The frames that you see is not rendered by a graphics engine. It's actually rendered by AI technology that we built.
This is the first time we combine machine learning and computer graphics to do image generation using deep networks.
For training data, we're given some driving sequences of different cities. And then we use another segmentation network to extract the high-level semantics from these sequences. We have the UE4 engine to generate these colorized high-level layouts. Different objects were given different colors.
The network converts this representation to images.
So these people do not exist. These faces were artificially generated using a form of deep learning known as GANs, generative adversarial networks. Synthetic data like this is becoming increasingly indistinguishable from real world data. So yes, use cases and applications, there are plenty as you see, but coming specifically now to the third section of ours, specifically getting into demystifying ChatGPT. What is ChatGPT? A fascinating new application of GANs. What are GANs? They are a type of neural network that use two competing networks, a generator and a discriminator. Why? To create realistic looking outputs. So the generator creates fake outputs, and the discriminator tries to tell the difference between the fake output and real world data. And through this back and forth process, the GAN is able to produce outputs that are indistinguishable from real data. So what does ChatGPT do? ChatGPT takes this concept and applies it to text-based conversation. So it uses GANs to generate responses to input text, allowing it to engage in natural sounding conversations with humans. Like I said earlier, only touching reality at a tangent, however. All right, we're going to be watching a quick video where we try and explain what ChatGPT is.
Meet John, a talented programmer who is looking to start a company that used his personally developed mobile application to connect restaurants and customers for booking and reservations. Even though the app was ready, John had difficulty getting together a team for his startup, needing separate people for sales, marketing, programming, content creation, and customer support. Hiring reliable manpower while being strict with his budget was getting difficult. He reached out to his friend Ryan, who said John could start his company without hiring any new people, thanks to just a single AI-based tool. John couldn't believe it, which led Ryan to introduce ChatGPT, the revolutionary AI chatbot being developed by OpenAI. It is a state-of-the-art natural language processing, or NLP model, that uses a neural network architecture to provide responses. This means that the ChatGPT bot can answer questions without being explicitly told what the answer is using its own intellect, unlike previous AI chatbots. So, how does ChatGPT help John in filling out his team? Regarding sales, ChatGPT can provide full-fledged sales pitches based on the correct prompts. It can provide tips on how to pitch your product to businesses, removing the need for sales training, completely customized to your requirements and your prompts. If you don't like some things about the response, you can ask for certain changes, and the chatbot will make sure they are done. When it comes to marketing, ChatGPT can provide efficient marketing strategies, which can help new entrepreneurs learn how to market their products to prospective clients. It can provide trending keywords that marketers can use for SEO purposes, while providing ad copies for your website and blog. Speaking of websites, since John can do a lot of the heavy lifting in programming, ChatGPT can help proofread the code and help out when looking for bugs to fix. Apart from basic bug fixing, it can also provide sample code structures for different programming languages, allowing John to focus more on improving core functionality and workflow rather than fixing basic code errors. Websites and blogs content is very helpful when gathering potential customer leads. The revolutionary bot can provide full-length blog posts with near perfect fast accuracy in seconds, allowing further customization, like choosing the length of the subject matter to the complexity of language. For John's customer support, the bot can draft complete customer service emails based on the situation, saving time and resources. The tone of the message can be changed to reflect the nature of the message, creating an efficient alternative for call center professionals. John was left speechless seeing this level of versatility from ChatGPT and wanted to implement it right away. However, Ryan made sure John knew about some drawbacks of the chatbot before getting started. Since the bot is trained mostly on data up to 2021, many of the newer events may still need to be discovered by ChatGPT. Even basic stuff like asking about the current date and time is beyond its scope, much like the limited understanding of context despite providing near lifelike solutions to certain problems. Even the accuracy of many responses can be questioned since the AI model is still learning and being developed. There is a section of the public that believes the revolutionary tool can one day replace Google search. But that day seems far-fetched so far because of the variety of issues people keep running into when using ChatGPT. So here's a question for you. Which of the following tasks cannot be carried out by ChatGPT? 1. Provide latest news. 2. Complex mathematical calculations. 3. Food recipes. 4. None of the above. Think about it and leave your answers in the comments section, and we will provide the answer next week. Give the correct answer along with your read out a myriad of tasks with minimum manpower will boost productivity at organizations in every sector, thanks to the revolutionary ChatGPT.
All right. Are there any questions, comments, observations, discussions, any feedback, any reflections, or any experiences of the very tight cohort that we have? Has anyone been using ChatGPT? All right, I asked this question because we are almost midway and we've still got good 30 minutes left. I think there's something in the chat box, which I will check out. So I asked this question to Sense. Yeah, I would imagine what you're asking, it should be able to do, okay, but to the very specific problem that you delineate, Mazni, let us hope and let us see how this whole thing, resolves. But I know that the capabilities are tremendous. Thank you for inputting on there. And I know that the kind of resolution changes, we know that this technology already exists. You did not need an AI to be able to convert, let us say, a cinema that was done in 1950s, which was black and white, and to be able to offer it today in color was something which they had already cracked. So while those were some old outdated technologies, this is where AI can do it like in a flash and with a far greater degree of almost, like I said, 4K output and resolution. So I would imagine such things should be par for the course. But of course, one has to dig deeper to come back with it. So my question remains, are there any questions, comments, observations? Because that enables me to pace the rest of this second half well. If there are no questions, I'm going to be spending the next about 10 to 12 minutes on answering the 10 most asked questions of me on ChatGPT by various participants when I go to these sessions. And I'm hoping that you guys will be able to, in the meanwhile, think of ways for us to engage in the last 15 minutes. So yes, first and foremost, first things first, what is ChatGPT? Anyone? All right, an AI chatbot system. OpenAI released it in November to show off and test what a very large, powerful AI system can accomplish. What all you can ask countless questions and often you'll get an answer that is useful. So ask encyclopedic questions like explain Newton's laws of motion. You can ask it to write me a poem. And when it does give you the poem, you can say, now make it more exciting, right? You can ask it to write a computer program that will show you all the different ways in which you can arrange the letters of a word. But here is the catch. I have said it before. Since it is AI that is trained to recognize patterns in vast swaths of text harvested from the internet and further trained with human assistance to deliver more useful, better dialogue, it does not exactly know anything. So the answers you may get sound plausible, even authoritative, but they might well be entirely wrong. You can ask anything, though you might not always get an answer. So OpenAI suggests a few categories like explaining physics, asking for birthday ideas, getting programming help, etc. So ChatGPT's expertise is broad. Its ability to follow a conversation is notable. For example, I asked for words that rhymed with purple. It offers a few suggestions. And when I follow it up with how about with pink, it doesn't miss a beat, right? So it is really almost as human as it could get. As I said, brainchild of OpenAI, which is an AI research company, they claim their mission is to develop a safe and beneficial artificial general intelligence system or to help others do so. OpenAI has 375 employees. Sam Altman, the man of the moment whom you saw earlier, tweeted in January that they've managed to pull together the most talented researchers and engineers in the field of AI. Have they made splashes before? Yes. First with GPT-3, which could generate text that could sound like a human wrote it, and then with DAL-E, which creates what is now called generative art based on text prompts you put in. However, it is not totally automated. Humans evaluate ChatGPT's initial results in a process called fine-tuning. So human reviewers apply guidelines. They used a Kenyan firm that paid people up to $3.74 per hour to review thousands of snippets of text for problems like violence, sexual abuse, hate speech, etc., right? All this data was built into a new AI component designed to screen such materials. As I said earlier, ChatGPT doesn't actually know anything the way you do and I do. It's just able to take a prompt, find relevant information in its oceans of training data, and convert that into plausible sounding paragraphs of text. So this is, of course, a long, long way away from the self-awareness that we may imagine. All right. Yes, for the moment at least, but in January, they did add a paid version that responds faster and keeps working even during peak usage times. You can sign up on a waiting list if you're interested. Sam Altman warned that ChatGPT's compute costs are eye-watering. He expects 200 million in revenues in 2023 and 1 billion in 2024, and this is according to Reuters. The limitations. So it can give you wrong answers and it can give a misleading impression of greatness. Yes, sometimes ChatGPT would reply to say, I'm sorry, but I'm not able to browse the internet or access any external information beyond what I was trained on. So the journal Science, they banned ChatGPT text in January, saying an AI program cannot be an author. And a violation of these policies will constitute scientific misconduct, no different from altered images or plagiarism of existing works. All right. So yes, but like with many other technology developments, it's not a simple black and white situation. So you had encyclopedia earlier, you had calculators, you had search engines, you had Wikipedia, right? So ChatGPT's new abilities also for everything from helping with research to doing your homework for you outright are there. And already ChatGPT's answers sound like student essays, though often with a tone that is stuffy, more pedantic than what a writer may prefer. All right, but yes, on exams, it has done extremely well. I may add, educators thought that Google, Wikipedia, internet itself would ruin education, but they did not. So my sense is it's a tool, not a villain. Can they spot it? Not with 100% certainty, but yes, there is technology. All top plagiarism tools of the world are now providing whether the probability of what they are seeing as text was written by AI. So they are not categorically saying written by AI, but the probability that it may have been written 30%, 60%, 90%. Can it write software? Hell yes, but with caveats. ChatGPT can retrace steps humans have taken and it can generate actual programming code, right? And what would otherwise take an hour of work, it will take you less than 10 minutes perhaps to do it. So ChatGPT is designed to weed out inappropriate requests, as they say, to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. So if you ask ChatGPT itself what is off limits, it will tell you any questions that are discriminatory, offensive, or inappropriate. This includes questions that are racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, or otherwise discriminatory or hateful. Well, the jury is out. Google often supplies you with suggested answers to questions and with links to websites that it thinks will be relevant. ChatGPT's answers, of course, far surpass what Google will suggest, so it is easy to imagine that GPT-3 is a rival. And don't be fooled, because Google has built its own large language models and uses AI extensively already in search. That said, Google is keen to tout its deep AI expertise, even as ChatGPT did trigger a code red emergency within Google. And this is according to New York Times, and this is what drew Google co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin back into active work. So Microsoft could build ChatGPT into its rival search engine, Bing. So ChatGPT, while imperfect, is doubtless showing the way towards our technology future. That finishes it from my side. We have, as promised, the last about 15-20 minutes to engage in some good, great, engaging discussion. So I am up for it. I can stop sharing the screen unless there are any questions that relate to any of the slides in the deck that have been shared. Any questions, any comments, any observations? All right, so I'm going to be asking a quick question, and you have to respond in either by raising your hands or by letting me know in the chat box. How many of you have already used ChatGPT? All right. So let's see. Mazni has, very well. And waiting for others. Henry has, all right. And the others. Wanamali and Saran, have you guys used it? All right, so if you guys have used it and a few of us haven't used it, let me try and see if I can give you guys a quick demo. And I hope my account is working on this machine. Where is my Chrome gone? All right, here it is. All right, so let's see if I can find my account here. My screen is visible, right? Janet and?
Yes, sir.
All righty. There you go. All right, so we're going to be calling it all right, so this is something that I did earlier on, but let us start with this conversation. Hi, I am in a class demonstrating the power of ChatGPT.
Excuse me, Sir Piyush. We only see the presentation slide.
Oh, you're not able to see the whole thing? Let me then stop
Yes, sir.
sharing. Share screen, the whole of it, right? All right, good. You mentioned it. Now you can see it, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm writing a prompt. Hi, I'm in a class demonstrating the power of ChatGPT to a group of young enthusiasts. Surprise us. Okay, see now. Do you see the power? All right. See? You see the power? This is up close and personal. All right, people, I'm going to be stopping sharing this. I'm going to be exiting this thing. And I am up for any questions that you guys may have. Where is it gone now? So no longer sharing the screen, right? Okay, good, Mazni. You were finally able to see it, as we now know. Thank you so much. Vanamali, I hope if you haven't used it, you enjoyed it. Saran, if you haven't seen it or used it, you would have enjoyed it too. But I'm sure Henry and Mazni may not have gone to the extent of conversing in the way that I did very quickly for a demo purpose. But yes, any questions, comments, observations, any feedback to share, anything, anyone, happy to take that. Typically, this class is built in a manner that the last 15, 20 minutes are reserved for open house discussion. Yes, Janet Thatcher. All right, if not, then I'm requesting all of us to just turn on the cameras for a quick screenshot by my colleagues, and this is for record purposes, and that helps the cause of every one of us. Thank you so much, Vanamali and Henry and Saran and Mazni. Quickly, yes. Thank you. Henry, yes. Show you the command to ask ChatGPT to build a website. So you just have to write that prompt. Let me see if I'm still on with it. I think I closed it. No, it's still there. So let me see. Let me share my screen once again. So I will pick up what you've written here, Henry, and I will share my screen first because I'm not a techie, so I haven't myself done it, but let us see what we get here. So I'm closing this. You guys can see my screen. I get that. So I have copy pasted what you said. Can you show us the command? To build a website. Can you share with us the examples of a few prompts is what it is called to build a website? All right. So these are the prompts. It is itself suggesting. Can you see the power? It is itself suggesting what kind of prompts you should be using to get the best out of it. See? I hope it helps, my dear Henry. I think so, but I do not know. I think it is only in English. That's a good question. Mazni, I would also look it up. If you get to know it, I mean, I will try and figure it out, but good question. You floored me. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? I'm stopping sharing now again. So all yours, up for questions again. Any questions, comments, observations, please? Anything, anyone? Otherwise, we call it a day. And I wish you guys a very good night and a good rest of the week ahead. All right, nothing. So Janet, and thank you very much. And thank you, Mazni, and thank you, everybody else. Look forward to meeting you guys sometime and wishing you all a great AI journey and life journey forward. Okay. All right. See you guys. Bye. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Do not forget to fill out the attendance form for your certification.